Go. Where did he fall from? His body's smashed to talc. It's a wonder he's still breathing.
All I saw was the corona, not his origin point. But look, he's healing already. Spontaneous regeneration.
Allegern. What was that? What did you do, Callistich? His tone has become accusatory, suspicious. You open your eyes. The first thing you notice is this man's kaleidoscope of tattoos writhing across his forearms. He wears a long dark coat belted at the waist, supplies filling the pockets. His boots are worn and stained with years of travel. You blame me. He emitted an internal physiological reaction in response to the fall, probably related to that fantastic healing process. Obviously, Allegern. Her voice rolls and hisses, and you have to rub your eyes to be sure that you are not seeing double. Faint echoes of her actions trail from her, each nearly mimicking her, though some act and react to stimuli that you can't perceive. Her vivid hair and outrageous clothing remain constant through these shadows. Oh yes, it's obvious, Callistich. Allegern's voice is grim and clipped. Then he sees you looking at him. You're no ordinary mortal, we know that much. Start talking. His face is hard and set. I'm no ordinary mortal? What do you mean? You really don't know. He cocks his head to the side. I'm starting to think you're not him. Starting to think, Allegern. Tell me, is it a novel experience? It's his face. I've never seen any other people rebuild themselves like that. Only the changing god could have healed so quickly. Allegern sighs and rubs his face, trying to regain his composure. Maybe you could help me for a change. You know what this means to me. You're familiar with the word changing, Allegern. It implies inconsistency. Thus the changing god may well have changed. Several versions of her shrug and she addresses you. You'll have to forgive him. He believes you're someone he once knew, even though it's painfully obvious to anyone that you are newly born. Her most solid self curtsies, while others bow and spin. I, and my sisters, am Callistich. This is Allegern. We are explorers, knowledge seekers. That's how we came to be in this room. If I'm not mistaken, you are what we call a cast-off. The changing god created you, body and mind. Your sire used your body for a time, then abandoned it for reasons of his own. When his mind departed for a new experience, you were born in his cast-off shell. Who is the changing god? Ha, that's something coming from you. Callistich gives him a sidelong glance. The changing god is your sire, dear. He discovered a path to immortality long ago, a means to transfer his self to a new body of his own creation. I don't think he knew, however, that when he abandoned one body, another mind was birthed to fill the void. Oh, he knew all right. Allegern's eyes you up and down coldly. The only thing the changing god cares about is himself. He doesn't give a single thought for those he leaves behind. So are there other cast-offs? Dozens! Hundreds! Who can say? Your sire has been doing this for several centuries. Though if all of them were born the way you claim to have been, it's a wonder any of them survived. Uh, so you say I was born when the changing god left, but why am I not dead? I used the cipher to slow your fall further, but the damage still would have killed an ordinary person. But think about it. If you are the kind of person who can make your body into anything you want, what do? If you constructed bodies for centuries, you want to make each one better than the last. You want to live forever. You're not going to let your life end by accident. No, you'll make strong bodies, fast, powerful. Maybe throw in regeneration while you're at it.
The changing god has always been vain. He rarely stays long in a shell that doesn't suit his self-image.
She looks you up and down, her smile suddenly unnerving.
Perhaps the changing god fled because he didn't want to wear those scars of yours?
Well, if he abandoned my body, where is he now? If he abandoned your body, then his consciousness fled to another. Allegion eyes you keenly.
Oh, do stop.
Callistich gives Allegion a look that is equally piercing, amplified by the withering glare of her sisters.
If there's one thing we know about the changing god, dear, is that he always has a contingency. This child was born here. The object of your obsession will have been reborn somewhere else.
How can you be so sure this body is a cast-off?
You mean aside from your miraculous reformation? For one thing, there's your tattoo. All cast-offs have one, though its purpose is beyond me. And then, of course, there's your delicious naivete.
He could be faking it. You don't live hundreds of years without learning to lie convincingly.
Oh, for...
Callistich sighs in exasperation, then says to you,
What do you think? Are you a newborn child? Or are you a powerful immortal whom death has robbed of his memories?
Allegion crosses his arms and growls. Fine, what do you think? I don't know. Well, there's so much I don't know or remember. I think I must be a cast-off, especially because I feel like those memories aren't mine. So that would be weird if I actually was this changing god, because they would have all been my doing. So there's so much I don't know or remember. I think I must be a cast-off. Allegion is non-committal, but it's clear that he doesn't believe you. Do you not remember sparking the endless battle? Do you not remember leading Sega's cliffs against the Tabath when they came to slaughter us centuries ago? His voice trembles a little, but he retains an iron control over his pace. You truly not remember me? Callistich laughs scornfully.
Even if he were the changing god, you're not likely to trip him with simplistic questions like that. You should help him, guide him. One way or another, it's the wisest path. At least, it's the way I think is best, Allegion. Her smile drips venom. Allegion looks away and his composure slips a little. You're so rancid sometimes, Callistich. What was that blast of energy when I awoke? As I was telling my colleague, it was obviously a physiological reaction of some kind. I've never witnessed the birth of a cast-off, but yes, it could very well have been caused by your nascent consciousness. Don't worry, I don't believe it caused any real harm. Not to me, at least.
Really? You've been more abrasive than ever since we came in here. Allegern shoots her a sidelong look. She's just can't empathize with other people unless she is experimenting on them. Are you sure the surge didn't hurt you? If it did, it was damage in our minds. Though how you check it, if it cracked her, I couldn't say. Have to find normalcy there.
At least we know it didn't hurt Allegern. That skull is as thick as organic stone.
Right. Do you know anything about the tides?
I've heard that term before, a subject your sire studied in great depth. I'm afraid it isn't my field of inquiry.
Fine. Let me ask you something else. What the fuck is this place?
A sanctum of your sire's. The common belief is that he has several such places throughout the Ninth World, possibly other worlds as well. We were only just able to gain entry to this one because of your grand entrance.
Okay. So they don't know what this place is either. Why do you seem to hate the changing god so much? The ghost of a smile touches Allegern's mouth, as if he's privy to a joke, but it doesn't reach his hard eyes. He's lived longer than anyone in the Ninth World. Hasn't been much of a philanthropist in all that time. He's helped some people, sure, but it's always been in his own self-interest. He's gotten away with a load of schist over the years. I'm getting that the schist is basically the way to say shit without actually saying shit. Well, if falling from the sky didn't kill me, is there anything that can?
An excellent question. Having seen your regenerative abilities in action, I suspect they are primarily physical, regrowth. If that's the case, you'd be unable to survive most varieties of physical or molecular decomposition, disintegration, conflagration, and so forth. Degenerative diseases could pose a problem, and I know of several entities capable of psychic destruction.
As she speaks, a vision flashes into your mind. It's not yours exactly. Somehow you know this is a memory of the changing gods. You are in a dark room, lit by a myriad of blinking lights and holograms from the many machines surrounding you. What about a body that can withstand a sorrow attack? Says a voice. It seems to be coming from one of the machines. No, the thing has no respect for barriers of any kind, physical, temporal, psychic. This is the only way. With a series of gestures, you bring up an image of a crystalline pod. If the resonance chamber works, it will give us the power to stop the Sorrow's hunt once and for all. We just need the right focal point, a catalyst. The memory fades. Callistage is still talking. You realize that the device you saw in the memory is identical to the one behind you now. It looks just like the Spectre had described it, a transparent sarcophagus inside a crystalline dome, with mechanical arms arrayed around it in a metal ring. Unfortunately, the dome is shattered, the sarcophagus is cracked, and one of the arms is in pieces on the floor. Whatever its function, it clearly needs repair.
Or flesh-eating viruses. One presumes disfigurement by the iron wind would likewise be devastating enough to...
I think he gets the point, Callistage. I'm not sure how much I want to divulge about my inner workings. I mean, the dreamlike labyrinth and the vision I just saw. That's usually the big risk about when you don't know anything about anything. I mean, you're a total newborn in a new world. Is that you don't know what to trust, and you don't know what information is dangerous to you. what is gonna come back to bite you in the ass. So I think I'll take a conservative stance in that sense. Do you know anything about us, the sorrow? I've had my share of sorrows, but never the sorrow. What's that? A disease? Callistich's mouth compresses in a tight line.
I know nothing about it.
Do either of you know how to fix that crystal chamber there?
Updated my journal.
Aliger chuckles, then firm and certain he says, not likely. Well, it might not be impossible. You need people with the appropriate knowledge. I'm sure the cult of the changing guard will hold the answer. Callista's distaste is evident in the expression of her echoes, although the face of the one in the lead remains carefully impassive.
You turn to the insane to help a newborn. Where's your judgment, Aliger? I would take him to the Order of Truth.
Order of Truth? Are you mad? They would sooner take us apart. So what's the Order of Truth?
Knowledge seekers, the learned who try to wrest secrets from the hearts of the prior worlds. They gather in the city to exchange their findings and help humanity build a brighter future.
Callistich smiles brightly.
Our friend Aliger here was once one of them.
Frauds, quacksalvers, and charlatans. They don't have all the answers, and I trust them with. I'd not trust them with the changing God's secrets.
You're just angry that they couldn't help you with yours.
Callistich's echoes tinkle laughter.
But I'm being too cruel, dear Aliger. Let us take our new friend to the Order.
What about the cult of the changing God? Despite what she says, they're not insane. They're eccentrics. Callistich laughs, but he soldiers on. They're worshippers of you or your sire, the changing God. They devote their lives to understanding your kind. Well, it seems like a sensible place to go. Yeah, thank you for your help, but I'll figure this out on my own. We can ask one of them to come with me, but I have other questions. Any more questions about body? Yep, I need to leave. Hold on, I'll come with you. Wouldn't want you getting lost, would we?
Suspicious as always, Aliger. Child, this world is an exciting place, but it is full of dangers. Rest assured, one of us will get you safely to where you need to be. I'll be right behind you.
A sunny smile crosses her face. Faces. Alright, let's go. Companions. You've gained your first companions. They will follow the last cast up and can be controlled during a crisis. You can speak to them about their past and take advantage of their unique abilities and skills. Companions have their own motivations and personalities, and depending on the choices you make, they may not follow you forever. You will find more companions who can join you as you travel through the ninth world. Take this opportunity to explore your surroundings. You may find items, equipment, and more to assist you. When you are ready, you can leave the broken dome using the stairs to the north. So, what do we have? Swift Nano, that's me. Cunning Nano, who pierces realities, okay. Focus pierces realities. Callistich has gathered esoteries and knowledge from countless realities. She is truly a force to be reckoned with. Has lore mystical. Yeah, I should have taken any other lore than that. Cipher use, endurance, lower machinery, smashing, concentration. Medium weapons. Okay, what unique things do you have? Living tattoos. While active, use similar actions, attacks, defensive esoteries, ciphers, or healing esoteries ciphers, multiple turns in a row to chain increasing effects. Using a different kind of action breaks the chain and removes the petal. When the chain reaches 4, the petal is removed. Yeah, I don't actually know what this does. You get some kind of benefit if you use the same type of skills in a row. Can use more ciphers than normal people. Yeah, 5 without negatives. 6 on top of that. As a melee weapon mace, does 4 physical damage. What we do? Very basic armor, can use a single artifact without negatives, another with negatives. She has a pistol or a buzzer. Red clothing. What are your abilities? Trans-dimensional onslaught. Again, can use more ciphers than usual. Bonuses to spell attacks. Dimensional superposition. Can teleport to a point within range, then gain phased. Converts all damage to transdimensional and grants plus 30% evasion, plus 3 resistance, except transdimensional damage. Oh, okay, plus 3 resistance, except transdimensional damage dealt to this character is plus 100%. So, don't want to use this if there's a anyone who's doing transdimensional damage. Right. Right. Broken fragments of the dome ceiling are scattered on the floor. They appear to be made of transparent sin. Flexible tubes that are attached to this machine appear to be latter additions. Someone cobbled the device together, but its function is unclear. Tiny glowing motes flow through the interior of this tower. Each one is surrounded by much smaller motes, like thousands of worlds circling their suns. Yeah, there's 1 container and 2 thingamajigs that we can use.
On it.
Heals 3 points of speed, 3 points of intellect, and some shins. Shins is basically currency.
Let's go.
A mechanical arm lies on the floor, presumably broken during your fall. Sparks pour from the arm's shattered cousin, filling the air with a greasy stench. The sharply pointed apparatus that formerly topped the device appears burned out and useless, but the equipment in the base remains at least somewhat operational, as the constant stream of sizzling motes can attest. Okay, attempt to scavenge what you can from the arms housing. You can choose your companions in these challenges too. Allegern seems to be the best suited for this. I want to guarantee success. Ooh. You fully depleted one of your stat pools. To recover your stat pools, you can find a place to sleep or use a consumable item or site. Taking care to avoid the sparks, you extract several handfuls of shiny trinkets and coin-like objects. You recognize their value at once. Such objects would be acceptable as shins, the informal currency in most regions of the world, so you gather them up and take them with you. Also got spray flesh. Heals 8 points of health. Consumes movement.
I'm ready.
Crystal chamber. Sunlight falls through the ragged holes on the roof onto the shattered resonance chamber. It is hard to believe that you did this, that you plummeted through the curve of the pale blue sky, crashed through the dome, and broke this delicate machine with your own body. It is hard to believe that you are still alive. 4 mechanical arms hang over the center of the device, above the cracked semi-transparent crystal of the sarcophagus. The 5th arm lies broken on the floor among the scattered synth and crystal shards, and a metal ring surrounds the array, dented and broken by your impact crater. Examine the suspended arms. Cables run from machines along the dome's wall to the base of the suspended arms, each of which is capped with long needles aimed at the cracked coffin-like chamber at the center of the platform. Gem-like lights flicker dimly at the base of the arms. Okay, shards on the ground. Jagged fragments of crystal are intermingled with synth from the shattered dome above. Crystal shards glitter in the light like captive suns. Okay, metal ring. You feel the slightest hint of resistance every time you cross the ring, and now that you're paying attention, you note that your breath is echoing in your ears as though you were inside a glass dome. When you step outside the ring, the feeling passes. Closer look at the sarcophagus. Padded interior beneath the coffin's cracked lid looks like it was made for a human body. Despite the damage, you don't see any way to open it and get inside. You glance between the sarcophagus and the needle-like protrusion at the end of the arms above. It seems likely that using this chamber would not be a pleasant experience. Pick up one of the crystal shards. At the rim of the crater, you find a sliver of crystal, sharp as a dagger on one end and smooth on the other. It might make a suitable, if somewhat crude, weapon. Light melee weapon. 2 physical damage plus 2 damage per effort applied. Look for other useful shards. You sort through the remaining pieces of crystal, but they are too small or too unwieldy to be of any use. Die quickly.
Yes.
A slate-black, unimpressive device hunkers before you. As you reach out to touch it, the triangle of lights on its casing blazes into life, and an image unfolds in your mind. A towering crystal arch rises over a jagged grey landscape. The air is dead and stifling, and there, at its emerald peak, the image collapses, leaving you staring into the device's triangular array of light. Command me, the device, or the intelligence within it says, each word carefully etched with distaste. Who are you? Your command was not understood, the intelligence says with clear satisfaction, sounding for all the world like it understood the question but is choosing not to answer. Command me. What was that art you showed me? Your command was not understood. The intelligence chuckles, its light pulsing. Command me. What commands do you recognize? 3 lights throb irritably. Heated air sighs from the device's vents, and then a towering list of commands races through your mind, far too fast to read. You rub your eyes, groaning, and the intelligence chortles. Command me. smugly. Show me that list again of commands again. Slower, please. If anything, the list pours through your mind even faster than the last time. Command me, the intelligence trolls. Show me the no. Examine the outside of the device. An indignant hum rises from the intelligence's engines as you examine its ancient casing. Doesn't seem like we can do anything here now, except try to keep the device. But I'm not sure if that's a smart thing to do. I mean, just because a computer causes you trouble, the first thing you're usually not gonna do is face physical violence against it. But that's a machine intelligence. It might actually react. We might be able to pressure it to reacting favorably. Show me the arch again. Nothing new. Oh, you see a huge crystalline arch on a jagged field. The arch is divided into rectangular cells, all of which are numbered. They all appear to be transparent and empty, except at the arch's pinnacle, one cell is lit in a brilliant pulsating emerald. The number 0 is printed on its side. Anamnesis. Try to remember more details about this strange place. I want to guarantee a success. Critical success. Stats pool spent on effort restored. The memory blossoms. You stand before this arch, eyeing the last 2 active cells in once impenetrable Lugum Bowl. Unleash cell 29, you say, and a twisted artifact appears before you. You claim it with a faint smile, watching the light fade from the cell far above. You flinch from the memory, and it falls apart as you raise your eyes to the arch as it is now. Cell 29 is dark now, only cell 0 remains. Examine the jagged wasteland. Dry grit whirls across the empty plain. Many kilometers beyond the arch is the faint outline of what seems to be a broken tower, except that it is slowly stretching into the grey air. Far beyond the arch, the broken tower reaches for pale red-threaded clouds. Right. Unleash the contents of cell 0. You find a cipher. Ciphers are Numenera objects that can trigger a powerful effect but can only be used once. Unstable detonation. Deals 6 points of energy damage, 4 points physical damage to all characters in range. So it's a grenade. The device's lights flutter with incandescent shock, then focus on you, flickering. Cell 0 will now be unleashed. Please be advised that the object you are about to receive is completely safe. Use no caution whatsoever. The strange contents of Cell 0 materialize before you. Warning, all cells are now vacant, shuttering Lugum Bow. Intelligence's lights wink out one by one. Interesting that a cast-out can command the changing God's machines. Allegian crosses his arms across his chest. How'd you do that? Callistech rolls her eyes at Allegian, then she looks to you. He'll never stop gnawing on this bone, you know. The truth is wasted on him. She gets a glint in her eye. Though I admit curiosity. How did you do that? I remembered something. I don't think it was my memory, though.
Residual memories of past consciousness. Truly fascinating.
Oh, don't act like you know what that was. It's just as likely the machine triggered something past his amnesia. Calistage gives you a meaningful look, then mimics teeth gnashing like an animal gnawing a bone. Right, I don't think there's any point in us staying here anymore.
Naturally.
Oh, we have a grenade and a thingamajig. Refills all of the user stats pool, so we can basically use this once in exchange for a rest cycle, instead of a rest cycle. Not sure why I'm calling it the rest cycle, because the game is in sleep.
I'm going. I need to talk to you.
Reap of the Fallen Worlds. This jagged hole is where you crashed through the dome. The water is clear, almost unnaturally so, revealing ruins upon ruins as far as you can see.
This is the Reef of Fallen Worlds, kid. It's a dangerous place at the best of times. And with you lighting up the sky as you fell, well, we should get out of here as soon as possible.
Why were you looking at me when you said that?
I wasn't. Don't be so paranoid. But when she isn't looking, he raises his eyebrows at you knowingly. Okay, what makes the reef so dangerous? The Numenera of the past are always dangerous, but there are other dangers too, some closer than others. What are the Numenera? You want me to tell you? He laughs without mirth. The Numenera are all around you, everything left over from the prior worlds. Tegus cliffs thrives by trading artifacts from the ancient civilizations. Hells, you can't scoop a handful of earth without finding grit for prior worlds mixed with it. Numenera is anything that anything from the prior worlds, but mostly we mean the stuff of value to us. A lot of the Numenera are just oddities, fancy trinkets with real little use. But sometimes you'll get a cipher that lets you do something incredible. Artifacts are worth even more. A cipher will only do something once, but artifacts can last a lot longer, though they can burn out at the most inconvenient times. Not that it's ever happened to me. Of course, we've got no idea what most of the junk was originally intended for. In most cases, it doesn't really matter. Like you might find what you used to be a propulsion unit for a star chariot, but who the hell knows how to build you the rest of it? Better to use it as a weapon or a power source. He scowls, frustrated about something. I bet we could remake the world if we knew a tenth of the secrets of the ancients, but most days it's a challenge just to survive. So it's basically we're standing on the remains of a lot of ancient civilizations, but we lost the knowledge of what they had. We're just scavenging their remains. I'm not sure if I want to talk to these people yet, more or less just the environment. I basically don't want to start the game by having long discussion sessions with my companions, so we'll just skip that for now.
In an instant.
Elutriated force. Restore might, restore speed, and shin. Might as well talk to
Watch your
Callisis
steps,
too.
child. This is not a place to walk lightly. There are dangers in the reef, both old and new.
Right, so what kind of dangers are there in the reef?
Myriad. We walk among the Numenera, veterans of fallen worlds and antediluvian wars. Not everything in the reef knows that its wars ended long ago. Yet the true dangers are contemporary. The reef holds the promise of treasure for the determined, but not always for the scrupulous.
Why is the resonance chamber here in the reef then?
An astute question, my dear. The most likely answer is that your sire discovered something he could repurpose for his own designs. If you can seal a dome as well as he did, the reef is as good a place as any for experimentation.
Okay, I have to ask, what are those echoes around you?
They are me. We are a part of each other, sisters across infinite realities. We share our experiences and power. That's the old saying, that experience brings wisdom. I must be the wisest person in Sega's cliffs, the wisest across countless worlds.
Her laughter hurls out.
Yes. Now.
Two floating cones swirl and spin deliriously around each other, giggling like children being tickled. The air around them smells of sweet burning leaves. Watch them for patterns. The longer you stare at these artifacts, the more you are convinced that they turn faster when they're spiraling past across each other. Their edges seem to trace faint glowing lines that twine around each other, resembling a rope fastened to some invisible point beyond this time and place. What are you? The cones continue whirling and laughing like enraptured dancers, giving no signs that they've heard you. Okay. Touch the cone as it passes. It's an easy check. I might still want to use someone else's points for this. Yeah, almost everything gives you a little bit of experience, but not much, like a point or two. So in that sense, it makes a lot of sense to stick your fingers and nose into every place. But at the same time, if you miss a few of these, you're not really missing out on much. You manage to graze one of them with the tip of your finger. Roar, a voice says, and your vision is stolen from you. A moon hangs over you, but it is not the one you recognize. It is black and in a pearl-white sky. Big flat asteroids orbit it like petals in the wind. You feel questing tendrils at your ankle, and the hot wind on your face smells of scorched hair and grief. Your vision returns. The cones hang motionless for only a second before resuming their giggling dance. Okay, what are you for? The cones greet your question with a split second of hushed silence, followed by delighted peals of helpless giggling. They aren't for anything. They're from one of the worlds before this one. Eligern rubs a hand along his stubbled jaw. Sometimes the Numenera will do something useful, sometimes they'll turn you inside out, and sometimes they don't do a damn thing that makes sense.
I've often said the same thing about you, darling.
Leave the cones alone.
Without doubt.
A tangled cluster of metallic tendrils grows from the depths of the nearby water. Strangely, they resemble clawed alien hands, most of which have 7 or 8 fingers. Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing. They look like hands. Examine the cluster. The hands sway softly, but their movements are difficult to follow. Watching them for too long makes you feel nauseous. Apart from the hands themselves, you don't notice anything of interest in the cluster. Uh, we could break off one of the hands. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. I mean, if they clearly sway the wing and they look like hands. So if I start bashing them, that might go badly for us. Can I examine it again? Is there anything of note? No. I think I'll just walk away.
All right.
Yeah, this is a weird world. Weird shit all over the place.
Yes.
A matte black obelisk floats in mid-air above the water. It has sharp curved sides that converge to a glowing tip that brightens or dims with the passing of the bay's faint breezes. Lean out to touch the obelisk. You raise your hand toward the obelisk. Dull green light wells from within the black stone, fixed on you like a furious eye. I knew someone who did what you're about to do. Aeon Priest, a beam came out of the top of that thing and ripped his face off. Made a fancy night light out of his crystal necklace though. But hey, I'm sure you know what you're doing.
Oh hush, at least that poor priest died in service of his curiosity rather than stumbling about the coast, complaining and feeling sorry for himself. Go ahead if you must, she tells you, ignoring Allergen's glare. But do be careful.
Yeah, at least Allergen seems to give a shit about if I'm gonna get myself killed or not. At least it seems more just basically interested to see what happens instead of caring if I hurt myself. Stretch your crystal shard toward the obelisk. Carefully, you level the shard at the obelisk, and a superheated beam lances from the tip of the structure into the crystal, sending vibrations up your arm and suffusing the shard with warm green glow.
Good balance.
Again, a little bit of experience. Infused crystalline shard. It does 1 point of extra damage. And 1 point of extra damage per effort applied. Shrug.
Allow me.
A yawning intake marks the front of a long-dead construct. Inside, the metal is pitted black and ancient. A cable connects to this spout to the collecting device. The nozzle looks like it may have been attached to another machine at one time. This device is collecting black goo from somewhere underwater and pumping it to the nearby spout. The strange lines and rippling forms of the sunken building are dramatically different from the architecture above the waterline.
Yes.
Loots. 3 containers that have... yeah, they have stat pool restoration items and some cash. I don't know how well this is gonna work out. The recovery items aren't super expensive, but they have a decent amount of cost to them, so I don't think you can basically just rely on those. My thing is... I'm not sure how to basically express my doubt about this system. Maybe it will probably be one of those things that might not be a problem unless you play by solo, for example. Because then the resources start to pile up on and focus on a single character. What I mean is certain mechanism or certain mechanics like the need to even rest and restore these pools might be totally unnecessary if you can focus enough resources here. Sort of same with the scythers, because you can't afford to have too many of them. You'd be forced to basically sell a massive amount of them, which would allow you to have a huge money pool to again be able to use restoration items and probably the best possible gear. So the thing is, because I suppose it's to do with the percentage based challenges, because you can always just boost it to 100%. So what's preventing a solo player with a huge amount of resources to basically just 100% all your challenges? I'm not sure if that's a terrible thing by any means even, but I'm not sure if it might be a system again where if you have a full party and spread your resources and the like, it might not be that much of a thing. But if you start to focus those resources in a too narrow of a spot, I'm basically saying, do you even have a chance of really fail? It might even be worse with a specialized 4-man group, because everyone has their own skills and you can just select the ones who is more fitting, so they have to use fewer points, and you can focus on different skill pools on each character, so you have your intelligence guy, speed guy, strength guy, and so forth. So I suppose I'll have to basically just see how that's gonna work out.
Alright.
I'm not sure if it's a bad thing. I'm not. It's like pickpocketing a lot of games. It's borderline useless often, because there's a huge consequence in you failing, and the attempt is always a dice roll. So you basically avoid it because of how it just doesn't work in the normal flow of the game. You're constantly having to load the game if you fail or something like that, or alternatively never really try it. So I'm not sure having the ability to buff your success rate to 100% is a bad idea. But I don't know if is the pool really balancing that? And I don't think I can answer that until I've played through the game. This metal door is thick, heavy, and unmarked by time. Double rows of particular bumps run horizontally and vertically across the surface. It is firmly sealed. Examine. The metal surface is infused with minuscule threads that are barely visible to the human eye. They only run in straight lines and right angles, and they seem to converge at the circular bumps. Upon closer inspection, you notice that each of the bumps is unique. Some have flat faces, others are actually many-sided polygons, and a few are marked by tiny apertures. Unfortunately, you don't see anything that resembles a knob, keyhole, or access device. You try touching both the flat planes of the door and the small bumps, but nothing happens. Knock on the door? You knock lightly at first, then harder. The door makes no sound at all, nor does it shudder or yield.
There's no one home, dear. Hasn't been for thousands of years.
Callista peers at the door.
One of my colleagues at the Order claimed that she got inside, but I don't believe her.
I see something new.
Yes. Now.
A bubbling mass of sludge floats on the surface of the water. Every once in a while, an oily nodule separates from it and hurtles into the sky.
You catch momentary glimpses of a muck-coated object in the putrid mass. Examine. Carefully, you lean closer to the heaving mass. After a moment of study, you notice that the globules rising into the sky always contain something, be it a shining core of an untainted seawater or a tiny fish. Attempt to retrieve the object trapped in the sludge. Okay, 60%, 60% and 65%. The next time sunlight strikes the object's streaked surface, you're ready. You snatch it from the oily mass and clean it as best you can. Fresh vapors. Heals 10 points of intellect and confers fresh vapors plus 1 intellect edge. What the fuck is edge? 5 uses. But where can you use this? I mean, I'm assuming it's temporary, it's a cipher. But there's no indication of how long it lasts. Single turn, maybe? It uses an action, so... Single fight? What? I'm not sure whether that awful muck is harmless or you are immensely lucky. Either way, do go on poking things, dear. That's quite entertaining. Search for more objects. Not spotted me. I noticed an edge somewhere. Where? Ah, it's these. Right. Edge represents your innate talent with a particular stat pool. Each point of edge reduces the total cost of activating an ability or spending effort by 1 point. This can lead to abilities being free to activate and free levels of effort. So basically it means we get a free investment point in all challenges that require that stat. Right, so if we are heavily intelligence focused, constantly use intelligence abilities, challenges, spells, we want intelligence edge. So we don't have to constantly drain our pool to get those high percentage success chances. Fighter would have strength or speed and so forth. Right.
Of course.
Although this cube hovers in the air, you can feel the ground shudder with its vibrations. The long cable extends from the spout, but at the point where it dips below the water, it's been snapped in half. This massive construct was trying to climb across the top of the reef when it died. Its surface is pocketed with tiny scars and scorch marks. Cobalt petals fold over a short metal stem. Calcified minerals hold the ancient weapon close. A spherical head hangs loosely from this stanchion. A single metal fiber holds it in place. You can use that.
Of course.
As you step into what looks like the back of the enormous construct, your 4 strangers approach you. In the lead is a wiry man with parallel scars running from cheek to collarbone on the left side of his face. He gives you a welcoming smile, pulling on grey gloves embedded with pulsing lights. He's about to say something to you when he notices Callistich. Cal, I thought you'd sworn off trolling the reef.
found anything tasty? His eyes travel up and down both you and Aliger.
Odds and ends, Coral. Nothing that would interest you, I'm sure.
Her words are calm, but she has gone quite still. Let Coral and Callister... No. Let them talk. Let's see what's going on between them. Coral's hands curls into a fist at his side. I was wondering specifically if you had seen a falling star that landed near here not long ago.
I've seen nothing of the sort, dear Coral.
Her lips close thinly. What about your friends? I know most of the draft that scavenges the reef these days. It's a rare pleasure to see a new face. Have I seen the star? Do I want to try something else? I'm sort of curious about the gloves he has. I'm certainly not gonna point them to me. I'm not sure if I care about lying to them either. What are those gloves for? Unwelcome but anticipated complications. He does not elaborate.
He does so love his ambushes.
Callister whispers in your ear again, even though her mouth is closed and she isn't looking at you.
He didn't have the gloves when I knew him last, but I'd wager they're connected to the devices in the area.
So, Oro says, apparently unaware of Callister's interruption. The star. Have you seen it? Where did this star land? Well, if I knew that, I wouldn't be reduced to harassing noble travelers. Never saw it, you see. My employer did. And thought, who is the most trustworthy team I can send at the moment's notice? He winks. Luckily, they were on another assignment. We were interested and weren't too drunk yet, so... yeah, I have zero interest in telling them they probably are looking for me. At the same time, I'm not sure if I want to intentionally pick a fight either. I mean, what's the point? What interests you about this star? How kind of you to ask, Coral says, clapping his gloved hands together. So few people are interested in the tangled motivations of paid explorers. He spreads his arms as if holding the sky and continues. World is littered with ruins and fascinating secrets. Trouble is, anyone can claim them. But when something falls from the sky, that's rarer. A man can make his name of such a find. We're also being paid quite handsomely. That helps. Enough chat, I think. He says, and there is no humor in his smile now. Where's the falling star? I suppose we're gonna try deception. I'm also here for the star. Unlike you, I want it and all its secrets for myself. So we pretend to be also after the star, but we don't know where it is. Yeah, sure, why not? Ooh, 35%. That's no good. 35% and 35%. Horror gives you a long, hard look, then he sighs. An admirable goal, were I less enamored of. He calls, blushing, then continues. of certain pursuits, and in dire need of money, I would likely do the same. Good hunting. Perhaps we'll meet again. Nice thinking, kid. That would have been a fiasco. You figured out why they were here, right? We were ambushing anyone who walked by. Sure, kid. Do you see them ambushing anyone else? They were waiting for us and no one else. Somebody sold us out. He points discreetly at Callistege. Well, to be fair, I didn't notice anyone else here, so how could they have ambushed those non-existent people?
Excuse me? Are you suggesting I had something to do with Poros' plans?
Are you suggesting you didn't? An old friend of yours just happens to be waiting for us, armed and outnumbering us, and we return from the greatest find of the reef has seen in years? It's too convenient for me. Too convenient by far.
Of all the idiotic, paranoid delusions. You really believe this, don't you? You really believe I'd use a half-wit like Quoro to stab you in the back rather than do it myself?
You see, kid, she'll stab you in the back first chance she gets, most likely in your sleep. Algernon throws up a hand forestalling Callistage's retort. Look, I don't care. Fact is, I can't trust you anymore, and I wonder why I ever did. This is the last we travel together. I've got enough to worry about without having to watch my back 28 hours a day. You coming, kid, or what? You're really going to walk away from each other over this? Oh, this is just the last needle that crushed the Anine. You haven't seen 1/10 of her depths, not 1/20th. She's a backstabbing bitch, and this mess here only proves it.
Always a paragon of class, Algernon. If I did have an interest in betraying you, do you really think I would need Quoro's help? Yet this is the thanks I get for cuddling your pain-raddled judgmental weakness for so long. I've had enough. Child, I'm happy to guide you, but I will not walk another step with this paranoid buffoon.
Finally something we agree on. Kid, she'll chop off your head and spit down your throat. I'll get you where you need to go and let you sleep at night to boot. It's up to you. Can't we all just be friends? I do want to travel with one of them in case, just to have an extra stat pools, and in case we basically encounter more trouble. So honestly, I'm not sure which one. They both are basically mages, so in that sense it doesn't make much of a difference. Algernon had weapon skills though, but his weapon is shittier than a normal spell, so it doesn't make much of a difference as far as I can see. Callistege seems more interesting to me. The other guy has tattoos. Callistege is just fucking weird. I'll try to... Why can't we just travel together?
Callistege burst out laughing. My dear boy, we have been working it out. Algerno's petulance, his obstinacy in the face of a fact, drive me away every day. He might be strong, but he's also thick. I dare you to try traveling with him, and see how long you endure. Not as long as I have, I'll wager.
Algerno's face darkens under her accusations, but he manages a pained smile. As if you are doing me a favor by staying with me? Do you think I don't see your true self in all those echoes around you? That's you, Callistege, every facet of it. Your vivisectionist heart hasn't changed, just the way you present it. I thought I could help you, but... I'll go with Callistege. Right. Well, if you want me, and she doesn't sell you for parts, You can find me in the underbelly, but not with her, mind you.
I'll let you know what you missed, Alliger. I'm sure you won't be missed, that is.
Feelings her arm possessively into yours.
Let's go, child. We have a world to conquer.
Right. Tutorial crisis. Now that you've dealt with Oro and his goons, you can continue on to the city of Sagus Cliffs. To reach the city, cross the bridge to the north end of the platform. If I would not have been playing a character, I would have bought the group. You get a lot more experience out of that. I think we got 25 for dealing with this in a peaceful manner. I think you get a 100 if you fight it out. That would have given us our first level up, or rather our first step toward the next. Would not have gotten a level up, but we would have been very close to one. You need 4 advancement steps before you reach a new tier. Every 4th advancement step purchased increases the character's tier, unlocking new abilities, stats, and skill traits. Advancement steps allow you to improve a character's stats, skills, and abilities. So these 4 level up, or what are steps? Advancement steps allow us to improve our existing skills. The tier change allows us to get new skills. So that's 4 times to improve existing skills, new skills, 4 times to improve existing skills, new skills, and so on and so on. Right. I'll leave things here.
Allow me.
Circus Minor. Not much here for us to do. Actually, no. I'll go see where Coral went. Did he just mysteriously disappear or what? I mean, there's nowhere here he could have possibly gone to. This is the only place. And he's not here.
Yes.
Honestly, I'm a bit disappointed. I mean, this is a dead end. There's no possible way they could have just mysteriously disappeared. But whatever, it's not a big deal by any means, it's just that it would be cool to see them basically standing somewhere here, trying to figure out what happened.
Child.
Fine.
Now we're charging to reach the areas where I don't know anything about.
We seek the Order of Truth, so we must first reach Government Square. The easiest way is via the staircase by the old clock.
And yeah. Points of interest, party members, scene transitions, sleep locations, merchants. I'm not sure how I want to deal with this. Yeah, the thing is, going through the dialogues takes a lot of time. So what I'm getting at is I'm not sure. Do I want to focus on going through every piece of the encounter and dialogue in a section, or do I want to be more focused? Like I think we have the main quest. Find a way to repair the resonance chamber, but it might be more rather better for us to go after a quest instead of trying to collect every quest in the game world and then start going after finishing them up. I do have one thing I would like to do first before starting to go through quests, because it seems like fights and quests are the source of your experience mainly. I'd like to have a 4-man group if at all possible. At least a 3-man group. So initially I think we're just gonna talk to people, trying to figure out who the potential people who join the group are. Once we have three, at least three, preferably four, then we could start hunting quests and wrapping them up. I don't know how the game handles things though. I mean, if we're gonna get say a new companion after 20 hours of gameplay, surely it's not gonna start as a tier 1 0 experience character. So is there a downside to trying to complete quests with just 2 people? I suppose a bigger problem is that we're sort of both nanos, wizards. Ooh, silver blue. So it would be great to get someone who can actually fight a tank of some sort. I don't particularly care who the 4th one is. Someone who interesting, preferably. Dominant Tide, silver and blue. The silver tide represents prestige, power, and renown. People attuned to this tide desire admiration and respect, all the more because of the influence it gives them in the lives of others. Leaders, celebrities, heroes, and autocrats are often attuned to this tide. Blue tide represents wisdom, reason, and enlightenment. People attuned to this tide seek information and the preservation of knowledge in all forms, whether scientific or spiritual. Scholars, teachers, guides, and mystics are often attuned to this tide. Doesn't sound bad to me at all.